Today, we celebrate the accomplishments of all our graduates by awarding them their hard-earned degrees. We shall begin the celebration appropriately by introducing our student speaker. Each year at Convocation, we choose an outstanding student to speak on behalf of the graduating class. We seek a student who has achieved academic excellence and who has also done distinguished work in other areas of student life. This year's student speaker is Marylyn Creer. Before coming to the school, Marylyn was a community organizer and a labor representative in her home state of Alabama, received her bachelor's degree from Alabama A&M. Last summer, she became involved with the Community Action Network as a member of the Planning Committee. Marylyn's work with the organization was recently featured in the Boston Healthy Start Initiative newsletter. During the past year, she has also been serving as a manager for the Community Committee of the Partnership in Health and Housing. She has been described by one of her teachers as one of the most passionate, dedicated advocates for equity in community health, and hands down the hardest working MPH student I have ever encountered in almost 10 years of teaching at BUSPH. Another said, she is a wonderful addition to SPH and to Boston. I couldn't agree more. Ladies and gentlemen, I proudly present Marylyn Creer, the SPH student speaker for 2019.
To Dean Galea, faculty, graduates, and guests. Long ago, in a little town in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, my mother and father, born into poverty, dreamed great dreams. Dreams that their 8 little children would someday be able to read and to write and tell stories of how they overcame and helped others. And my mother taught us to always help others and to never forget where we came from. But many years later, when I was 21 years old, my mother and father were hit by drunk drivers. And my father, a Baptist minister, survived. But my mother, whose faith and trust in a power so much higher than her own, later died, never to see her dreams become a reality. But Mother, we know that you are among the angels in heaven and that you are cheering us on. How could my mother have known that the little footsteps following her and our father along those dusty dirt roads of Tuscaloosa to church every Sunday morning would someday develop into footsteps of leadership and caring? How could she have known that one of her own children would someday study at the very place that her esteemed great leader, Dr. Martin Luther King, cheerleader for justice, attended, and walk the very grounds that his feet trod? But as I grew older, I always remember what my mother said. Always care for others. Never forget where you came from. And as I grew older, I remembered. And she always told me to look out for one another. So when my job downsized in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, I had to be relocated to Birmingham, Alabama. And I became a community leader and grassroots organizer. I was elected as a neighborhood president where I served for over 30 years, and I worked with groups advocating infant mortality and around teen pregnancy, and I served on numerous health and housing boards. And I mentored young, underprivileged youth. But when I drove them home to their homes in public housing, I cringed and shuddered at the smell of the air filled with emissions of soot coming from a nearby factory, and at the sight of its settled on the surfaces inside and outside of their homes. And I wept when my mentee Wendy was killed in a senseless murder. And I wanted to do something about all of that. But before I could do anything, I was downsized again. But this time, I decided to go back to school in order to learn to fight another way. And when I graduated in 2016 in physics and biology, my mother's words still haunted me. Don't forget to help others, Marylyn. Don't forget where you came from. I knew I had to work in public health. And when that calling came, I came to Boston University. And now I must admit that when I came here, I thought that I had come to the land of milk and honey and of freedom and fairness, but I was in for an awakening. I soon discovered that inequities and injustice exist everywhere, north and south. I realized that where you come from and what you look like matters. I wept in your classes, Dr. Belanoff and Dr. Cozier, when I read of the gynecologists in New York who purchased young black female slaves and experimented on them without using anesthesia, saying that black people feel no pain. And I also felt heart-wrenching pain when I read of the millions of men of color imprisoned in jails for small crimes for their lifetime. I was brokenhearted, but then I became emboldened and encouraged when in those same classrooms I learned about ways that I could fight the good fight and of ways to fight smart. I decided that I had to rise to the call and advance to fight inequities and injustices. For example, I want to help people like Mrs. Mina Carr, who lives in Boston public housing, who fought so long to have a smoke-free environment, to know that there are people like you and people like me who care about her, and that together we can work on reducing smoking rates among young people, that together we can find strategies to prevent factories from setting up shop in poor, unprotected neighborhoods, and that together we can find ways to reduce the escalating rise of diabetes in America. But guess what? I realize that this work will take all of us, you and me. So my colleagues, we are being prepared to deliver social justice into a world and to people who may be without hope. So as you go out into this world, carry that torch of justice with you. Run that race. Be determined to make a difference. And you can, and you will, and you must. And although you may not get it right every single time, people will remember that you tried and that you cared. And they will bear with you as you strive to get it right. And as my great mentor, pastor, and brother, the Reverend David Ellis Gay Jr. says in the pulpit all the time, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So today, I thank my mother and father for raising my siblings and me to always care about others and my Beulah Baptist Church family. I especially thank my sister, Mama Flora Martin, for always being a mother for me when we lost our mother, and my son, Michael, who has always encouraged me every single step of the way. I thank my counselors, Dr. Candace Belanoff and Dr. Yvette Kosher, my classmate and helpmates, Lou Figueredo Miller and Cody Raganese. I thank my mentor, my hero and strong rock, Dean Harold Cox. And my guardian angel, Mrs. Mary Murphy Phillips. Finally, I thank Dr. Martin Luther King, who stares at me down the hallways of Muger Library when I study into the wee hours of the morning and points his finger at me as I read his words, "Seek wisdom." Now, I challenge each of you, my fellow classmates, to seek knowledge, understanding, justice, and peace. And when you find them, hidden within their bosom is wisdom. And never, never, never give up on your dream. And before departing, I leave with you excerpts of the poem that I wrote and dedicate to all of you today and to my mother, entitled "To Dream." To dream is to keep trying, to capture what was lost, to try to keep on winning, no matter what the cost, to try, even when you're weary, to never give up on your dream, to make sunny a day that's dreary, and to realize great self-esteem, so that when you finally reach that finish line on that great forthcoming day, you will find great peace in knowing that you really found a way. So my fellow journeymen, keep trying to travel that unbeaten path. Keep smiling, keep rejoicing for what you know will come at last, that in the final hour of your struggle, no matter how hard it may seem, you have won the race, you have found your place, you made your reality your dream. So dream on, my sweet child, and may your dream be sweet. For your reward is waiting, your victory is at your feet. And take it with great happiness, with great honor, let it gleam, and find great comfort and rest in knowing that you have made your life your dream. Congratulations to the great class of 2019 Boston University graduates. Thank you.